Hello, you're watching West Bloomfield 911. I'm Officer Rick, and on behalf of Chief Mike Patton and my brothers and sisters in the West Bloomfield Police Department, welcome to another show. As always, to my right is my co-host, my friend, my colleague, Officer Arlo. How are you, Arlo?
Oh, great.
Good, good. And today you are Arlo, and we're going to have you sing that very famous song, Alice's Restaurant, before we go off the show. That's my favorite one that
Folks,
you
I
ever
think
did.
it's the age. It's might be losing a little bit.
I think I've lost it a long time ago. As always, my dear friend, David McNealy. So, Dave, but you are Arlo. And talk about brothers and sisters in blue, right across from me is Sergeant Mike Cupp with the West Bloomfield Police Department, Administrative Sergeant. Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Rick. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming. And the only reason I have you here today, of course, is because you brought your lovely bride, Dr. Jeanne Stuckey-Cupp, and you are the Research Associate Professor from the University of Michigan. You know, it's hard for me to say. My daughter graduated from MSU, from the University of Michigan. Jeanne, thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
See?
You know what?
We got to keep her.
Well, we are going to edit this show. I can tell it's going to need a lot of editing. That's why I like her, though. Folks, as we are wont to do, please look at your screen as we highlight an employee of the West Bloomfield Police Department. And Arlo, take it away.
Got it. Hey, guys, I'm excited to give you guys this corner spotlight. This is a hometown boy. This is Alex Lang. He is from West Bloomfield, and we were lucky enough to get him as a recruit officer here. He's been with us for approximately 3 months now. He had some previous law enforcement experience. He did an internship with Farmington Hills Public Safety Department, and then he came to us, so we're lucky to have him. Some of his favorite foods, he likes his mom's piccata.
Smart guy.
Yeah, that's always good to say. You like mom stuff, that's good. His favorite book, he likes The Hobbit. And one of his favorite movies, which is one of mine too, it's really funny because I like to laugh. It's Happy Gilmore. I bet you a lot of people know that one with Adam Sandler. Favorite thing of Paul's, he likes country western music. How do you like that? He loves country western. Some of his accomplishments and hobbies, he likes soccer, golf, and hockey. Well, we'll see what kind of golfer he is once he gets on full time with us. And his quote, which I really like a lot, it says, "Wake up with determination and go to bed with satisfaction." I think that's amazing, Alex. Keep working hard. I've had him a couple times as a recruit officer, so we're lucky to get him a hometown guy. So, guys, we're going to turn off the spotlight, and I'm going to give it back to my partner.
And he's a good kid, and I see we're going to need to edit your part of the show as well. Folks, please stay with us while we talk about personal safety. Now, remember, we need you to help us. We can't do it alone. You are our eyes and ears. And our safety tip of the day is a program put on by the state and the Attorney General called See Something, Say Something. Now, it was mostly geared for students in school, but anybody can utilize this program, adults, parents, anybody. And since it's been established, it's been very successful. And it's so that you can notify the state and the appropriate officials of problems that are going on, whether it be in the school or in your neighborhood, and you can do it anonymously. This way, if kids are being bullied or if they hear about threats at the school, they can call in or text in, whatever, and make these problems known, and the appropriate action can be taken to prevent violence and other problems in our schools. The Attorney General has received 5,000 tips in 2 years, and in 2015 they received over 2,000 tips, so it's very successful. And this was part of the Student Safety Act, and it helps us to find out warning signs that are going on. If you'd like, you can go to their website, which is www.ok2, the numeral 2, ok2say.com. You can also download apps and go to their website. You can find that out. They have apps, mobile apps for iPhones and Androids, and you can call their number as well, 1-855-565-2729 or 1-855-OK2SAY. You can also text the problem, 652-729, which is OK2SAY. And you can also send them an email, which is OK2say at mi So please utilize this program. It's a great program, helps us cut down on potential problems, another way to help us keep our kids safe. We will be right back with our very special guest, my dear friend, Sergeant Mike Cupp of the West Bloomfield Police Department, and his lovely wife, also a dear friend, Dr. Jeanne Stuckey-Cupp, Research Associate Professor from the University of Michigan. Don't go away, come on right back.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The West Bloomfield Police Foundation raises money to help those who protect and serve the community. Whether it's emotional or financial support, the foundation provides a helping hand to officers, their families, and those in the community. For more information on the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, contact Kurt Lawson at 248-975-8900 or visit wbpolicefoundation.org.
Hello and welcome back. We have two exciting people, very special people to me, Sergeant Mike Cupp, Dr. Jeanne Stuckey-Cupp. Sergeant, mind if I call you Mike today?
No, that's fine.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Welcome both to the show. You guys have you're at an interesting spot in our careers, because it is your career as well. Jeanne, when you're married to a police officer, Sergeant Cupp will be retiring shortly, and that's some place we all want to reach. We all want to go out with our boots on, and but for a police officer that's been in the business a long time, that like you and I and David have, sometimes there's some emotional and thought processes that need to change. Some guys find it harder to leave than others. And as you're getting close, Mike, what goes through your mind about the end of your career and looking towards retirement?
You know, Rick, it's not been a problem for me at all. It was kind of a last-minute decision, and I spoke with my wife about it, and you know, she was very supportive, as she's always been, and I'm just very excited about it. I not really have any reservations about it at all.
No regrets, eh?
No, not at all.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to be a little bit difficult? Not that it's going to create a major problem, but our identities, to a large degree, have been tied up with our professions. Is it going to be some transition where you're no longer Sergeant Cupp, you're Mike Cupp citizen, or Sergeant Cupp retired?
You know, I don't think so, Rick. Being in the administrative portion, I've had to let go of a lot of the police duty activities that I was doing before. And I'm very active with the family, and it'll give me more time to be with them, with the grandkids, and getting some of the to-do list done finally. Yeah. And I don't see it being a problem at all.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do at this point, because you are assigned to administration, and as you said, you're not working the road.
You oversee different things now within our department, because I know when you're on the road, I'm gonna age. Can I call you Mike?
Sure.
Cool. I'm going to age him a little bit. He was one of my FTOs, and that was 20 years ago. But you've done so many different things now. But you oversee specific things that Rick was trying to elaborate on. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. As the administrative sergeant, I oversee the dispatch center. I oversee the police service aides. I oversee the records bureau, and then some of the other civilian personnel, the garage personnel, IT personnel, property officer, and pretty much anything to do with the building. So the jail area.
You have a full plate.
Keeps me busy.
Well, and I guess I'll have to age him a little bit more as well, because he was your FTO. He was my FTO for 3 days, and it's the first time an FTO said, I'm out of here, I don't want this guy.
You said that with me too. I don't blame him, no.
No, actually, Mike pleaded with the chief at that time to get him away from me and put him in a special unit, so I think you ended up going, was it DEA at that time?
That's correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, I hated to see you go, but yeah, you got to go for the gusto.
That's right.
But even though you are in administration and you're not working the street, but you perform a very important function, but it is not a line function, just as you know what I'm doing. you're still putting on that uniform every day, and which has a target on the back of it. And unfortunately, we know that in today's environment, police aren't very popular. And so when you are out and about, even though you're not necessarily responding to runs, people look at you, they see that uniform, and if someone is mad at us, they don't know that you're sitting inside. So you still have the, they've done a lot of different studies, and that certain blood pressure goes up a little bit and all that stuff when police officers put on their uniform, because they know what it represents, and that that's a sense of like preparing for a war in a sense. So you won't have to wear that anymore.
No, but Rick, as we become police officers, I think as officers we become used to that.
Yes, we do.
We become used to, that excitement and knowing that demeanor is going on around us. The other part of it is our spouses often don't. And
absolutely, and that brings us to Jeanne. Jeanne, you guys have been married for a while, and Mike was a police officer when you married him, so you kind of knew what you were getting into. But living it and being a part of it is a totally different thing, isn't it?
Yeah. When we first married, I know when I would come in at night, because he was used to working nights, so he was working at that time, midnights. And when he switched to days, he was sleeping with his wife, with me. So when I would come in, I would have to, if I came in after he fell asleep, I would have to be very quiet and watch what I did, because if I made noise, he would just be asleep, but he'd sit up and he'd scan the room. And he'd look, he'd scan the room, and then he'd lay back down. And I was like, wow. So I know he is ready to retire because he doesn't do that anymore. He can sleep through the noise. He's not startled anymore.
What I want to know, because from when I started, his demeanor has, in my mind, has not changed. He's always as cool as the other side of the pillow. Is he like that at home? Because I've seen where I was up, I'm like that, and he's like that, and he just, okay, do this, do that, do this, and he's just calm, he's calm.
Yeah, he doesn't get rattled very often.
That's it.
Yeah, he
That's
doesn't
it.
get rattled. And now that we're raising a 2-year-old grandchild in home.
Does he get wild then? Oh my God!
No,
He's on the counter.
We're in a new facet of being parents now to younger ones, where we didn't have that opportunity. So he's still very even-keeled, very gentle with her.
That's what I would say over
yeah.
the 20 years I've seen him, and I've admired that a lot, because he has this calm way about him when we've been in critical situations. And I know I want to get to, he was involved in a critical situation, I think when he was undercover, which I'm hoping he'll talk about for the viewers. So.
Well, and plus, she said you're raising another grandchild, and of course, and I've been through that as well. So, but having raised your own children, you don't worry about it as much. You know that they'll bounce. When it's your first kid, it's like, you get to the second and third
they
kid,
bounce.
it's like,
Folks, he didn't say they bounce. He was just kidding.
send your complaints to Chief Mike Patton. And remember, that's Officer David McNealy. But you have a different attitude and different perspective. As you said, you learned a little bit about, when you came home and saw how he reacted. I know Maureen said that my wife, that when we got married, I was a cop when we got married, so she knew it too, but it was like after 2 or 3 or 4 months after marriage, she started thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? I married a police officer. Did you kind of go through that?
It was more my family. I brought him home, and they're like, oh my God, what are you doing bringing a police officer into the family?
Now, when you look at her family, are they in-laws or outlaws like my family?
no, they've learned to love me.
But what is it like for you now, knowing that he's going to be retiring? I mean, you've seen some attitudinal changes in the sense he's kind of preparing for retirement and maybe not as hyper-vigilant as police get to be.
Right.
How about yourself?
So,
What's going on with you?
I'm worried. We haven't really talked a lot about it, because it's like I have to do a bunch of teaching this fall, and I'm like, don't talk to me about this until this date, you know. So
Give him a chart. Talk about it this day, this time.
I'm sorry.
You have 2 hours on October 3rd.
That's sort of what it was.
You in for this day.
After September 7th, he was allowed to talk about it.
I love it.
But then he came, here's the numbers. You need to make a decision now, tonight. And I was like, no, we're going to wait. No,
that.
it has been, you know, in my profession, people don't retire. They die at the bench, basically, doing their research, right? Numerous colleagues of mine have done that. So the concept of retirement isn't
Kind of foreign.
it's foreign to me. Yeah, I'm not ready for it. So I wasn't ready to plan out the next, hopefully, 40 years of our life, you know, right away, and doing that. So I'm happy that he's retiring from the police force, because I know the hypervigilant attitude won't come back. Such as being in, I don't know, we were in Best Buy one time when we were early on in our marriage, and the lights went out and somebody said, run, and he thought somebody said somebody had a gun. And I'm like, and he's like ready, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know?
Oh
Yes,
boy.
Yes, absolutely.
She can't tell all these stories, can she?
This is great.
Well, you know, and he and I've spoken, and I understand that. When my kids were in school, and I told Mike, I said, remember one time I went to pick the kids up, and I'm sitting there, and of course I have my partner with me, and these kids come running out of the school screaming, and then with all the school shootings that are going on, my initial thought is, all right, something's going on in school, and you have to go in and hopefully take care of business. Fortunately, they were coming out screaming because they were all going to watch a fight or something, but it wasn't anything real major. But
But it
just
does.
like him, you
know,
get prepared.
You're automatically in that mode when
Right.
when emergencies arise. So, yeah. My biggest concern though is you know, what is he? How, and you hit it, you know, how is he going to feel not being a police officer anymore?
Right.
You know, because
Just like I
that
said,
is
to
huge.
me,
I think
see him.
that's big.
Some people identify with their job, like Rick was saying, but for me personally, I always look at it the way I was raised, and I was a man before I started this job, and I'm going to be one after I leave this job, and focus on family and, you know, kids and hopefully grandchildren. Not too soon, but someday. But you know, in this case, for me personally, just watching Mike over the years, he's just always been like that. So I see him transitioning into that, going into that place. But just to switch gears for a minute, something I've always been curious about, I've only heard stories about it, so I want you to tell the viewers. I know that back when you were undercover, you were in a critical incident. Can you tell us about that?
Which one are you referring to?
You were in a shooting?
Well, I wasn't really in the shooting. I was on the opposite end of where the gun was.
Okay.
We were making an arrest.
You were
And,
undercover at that time?
I was.
Okay.
And we had just made a controlled buy of drugs. We were going to arrest the individual. And it was my job to be at the back of the vehicle that we were going to stop. And as I'm running up to the back of this vehicle, I'm looking through the windshield at the agents at the front of it, and the person tried to run over the agents at the front of it. So they fired shots in my direction to try and stop the vehicle.
Now, were you even killed then?
For the most part, yeah. I learned to duck real quick.
Stop,
yeah.
drop, and roll,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. But it was, you know, it was over very quickly. Probably been over, you know, before you could even respond to it.
Okay.
So
'Cause that was like shortly after I got here. Shortly after I got here, that occurred, and I always wanted to hear it from your lips to my ears. I was always curious, just as a recruit officer, how you handled that.
well, like I said, it was over very quick. Then we got the person out of the car and arrested him, and then we all got time to calm down and get the situation under control. Okay. And you know, at the time we knew that it was right across the street from a school, but it was in the evening. But they were having a parent-teacher conference at the time, so
Oh boy.
that brought a little news media to the situation.
And depending on what neighborhood the school was in, maybe no one paid any attention.
Well, it was in the West Bloomfield area.
Oh,
And
well,
so,
then they were
yeah,
all paying
Yeah, they were all
attention.
paying attention,
Yeah.
and so it was interesting.
Okay.
Well, let's talk a little bit. We get a chance to reminisce a little. Let's go to you, though, about you just reminisced a little bit about what Dave asked you. As you look back on your career, I guess, what has brought you the greatest satisfaction or pleasure? And can you look at what maybe has been a little disappointment for you? Because we all have a mix of both.
You know, I think probably the most enjoyable time was the time while I was working undercover. I mean, you get to go out and do some fun things
That was your niche.
you would never be able to do normally. And there's a lot of freedom, and you're involved in a lot of cases, working with a lot of other agencies. And so that was probably the most fun that I've had. Probably the most disappointing, you know, I was involved in some health issues about 5 or 6 years ago. And
Right.
because of those, you kind of got to redirect what your approach is on a number of things.
Yes.
And when you're used to doing things a certain way, and then you kind of got to pull back a little bit.
I want to switch to you on this one. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of had to jump into a public safety role with his health scare. Is that not accurate?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? Because you had to switch to be the policeman or the emergency person when he had his health issue, did you not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it the stubbornness of being
Being
a police officer?
I've never known Mike to be stubborn whatsoever.
No, he can't breathe. He's sitting there, can't breathe. And I'm calling 911. Don't call them. And I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
911.
That's the way I was when I had to say University of Michigan.
Hard to breathe?
Hard to
There's
breathe.
times that you just got to.
But the poor first responder that was there.
Mike started telling him what to do. Well,
No,
just let the people
no, that
know
wasn't,
too.
That wasn't
Because
the
you
issue.
were
Mike used to be a
EMT,
medic.
right? You were an EMT, so you probably were giving him, okay, put it, attach it here, attach it here.
Actually, I was a paramedic before I got into law
Right.
enforcement, and no, I didn't say too much to him at all. I was
That's 'cause you
I was
couldn't.
waiting at the door for him. Unfortunately, they had a little difficulty finding the
Heard about
house.
that also.
Oh, yeah, they
Tell
couldn't-
us about that.
So I wasn't so nice to the dispatcher on the phone at the time because they're like, he can't find you. There's no street lights around because we're out in the country. So we had the porch light on, and we were the only ones with the porch light on. We're flashing the porch light. I have my stepdaughter out there running around with a flashlight trying to wave him down. And he's parked right in front of our house. And she said, they can't find you. And I said, tell him to look over his left shoulder. It's like,
So you became the officer
oh,
right
and
then.
Mike's like, don't be so hard on him. He's like, you're going to die right in front of me, and I can't do anything about it.
And thank you for not utilizing all the language you used on the phone. This is a family show.
Yeah, this is a family show.
I did not curse at them, but I was frank with them. So I felt bad, but it was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, no, they were all there, and they had him ready to put in the ambulance, and all the first responders were still in the house, and I'm like, you guys have to leave. I got to go to the hospital.
Jim Geary and I, my partner, when I was in traffic, we rode up to see him, and
Yes.
and that's when I think I
Yeah.
first met you, and it was a trip, to say the least, for Jim and I to see Mike, like that. It's like, okay, you see this guy that's ready to go, and you're like, wow, you
Yeah.
start to check your own mortality at that point. When
Yeah.
you see somebody with a health scare like that, that's normally up and at him.
Yeah.
And you know what? I felt real bad, and he and I have talked about that because you were on mids at the time, were you not? But you were not on, I know you weren't on days, and I was
you
not
No, I think I
aware-
was on
Specials.
midnight.
And I was not
think I was
aware
on
because
midnight.
a lot of times when you're on a different shift, if someone doesn't tell you, you don't know what's going on with some of the other people that you work with. And I didn't know Mike was having such a serious issue. And then there was a time period you had come back home, and you'd gotten out of the worst of the situation, and someone said, "Oh yeah, Mike's not feeling good," and I remember I sent him a get well card, and he said, "What'd you send it for? I'm okay now." That's why I heard you weren't
just
feeling good.
heard.
Well, that was like 2 months ago. Oh, I thought it was now. I felt bad. But we're glad you're better, and hopefully this is a good sign that you'll enjoy many, many years of retirement bliss, and you'll have to, because Jeannie's not going to allow anything else.
Right.
No.
But what do you see as your plans for when you both retire, or when he retires and you get to enjoy his retirement?
Well, I'm going to go fishing a lot more.
Good for you.
There you go.
Until she gets home, I'll be back home by the time she gets home.
Cooking that fish.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, that would be nice. Catch a few.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Boy, it sounds like that'll be a new experience too.
Watch the Food Network. Learn how to cook.
Well, I always said when I retire, I'm going to go fishing and I'm not going to even put a worm on the hook because that means I'll have to reel it in. But
Well, you can tell he's in that mindset because yesterday he goes, "Weren't we going back to the lake? Let's go to the Lake Counties this weekend so I can go fishing." He's gearing up.
Yeah.
My fear is how many boats will he have by the time?
well, like we talked about when the cameras weren't rolling, one for every day that ends in Y.
Exactly right.
Are you planning on just chilling out for a while? Or are you doing any other career things? Or
My initial plans are to get some things done around the house that I haven't been able to get done, spending more time with the grandkids,
That's a good thing.
and then
That's the
be
important
out,
stuff.
be out on the lake
Absolutely.
fishing a little bit.
Yeah.
And then after, maybe a few weeks, my plan is to work part-time doing something for 2 or 3 days a week.
Right. Who wants to work 40 hours a week when you don't have to? Absolutely. Now, Jeanne, you said in your career, retirement really isn't an option.
Yeah.
But do you see a time when you might like to retire so that you and Mike can maybe do a lot of things that you're limited when you have a 40-hour a week, well, minimum of 40-hour a week job?
Yeah, we have, differing things. He wants to go camping a lot, and my idea of camping is at a 4-star hotel.
I told you.
Like a mattress. I think the sleep with running water. It's my thing.
You know what? I told you are just like my wife.
Yep.
She's the same way.
I know the one.
The same way.
I know the one.
It's, do they have a place I can plug in my dryer? No, honey, it's a campground. Oh, well, you have
Where's
fun.
the AC? Where's the AC at?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like air conditioning.
Right.
I like the creature comforts. But no, we can.
But we've got that down
Yeah.
pat too, because I'll sleep in the tent with the grandkids, and she usually comes back out to the campground the next morning.
Well, I had the littlest one I got to take home because I'm like, the baby can't stay. It's too cold.
Or it's too high. There's mosquitoes.
Exactly. 'Cause, infants, they're not built for 50-degree
Right.
weather, right?
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
So
agree,
I
yeah.
have an
I agree.
excuse.
That's
I
right.
agree.
That's right.
Well, listen, I have had a ball. It's been great having you both on. And Mike, real quick before we go, is there something you'd just like to say, as you get prepared to ride into the sunset?
Rick, it's been a great career. It's 29 and a little over 29 and a half years. I've got to work with some really great people, like the two of you, and to watch them as they've grown into, better officers and give back to the community. That's been a big part of pride that I hold. And I really like the way the community supports us, and I will miss it.
Yeah.
I will miss it, but
Not enough to come
but I'll
back.
enjoy it enough to not come back.
Not enough to come back. Well, Mike, Jeanne, don't go away. We are going to remember a fallen officer, which is unfortunately part of our career, and that's when you and I really got to know each other, is when Sergeant O'Rourke died, and hopefully we don't have to go through that again. But folks, if you will look on your screen, please remember in your thoughts and in your prayers, Chief of Police Jake James McCullough of the Hannahville Tribal Police Department, who was killed in the line of duty on December 5th, 1981. Chief McCullough is a great American hero, and we remember him, though, specifically because he has the unfortunate and unhappy distinction of being the only tribal officer in the state of Michigan who was killed in the line of duty. Now, there have been numerous tribal police throughout the country who have been killed, but Chief McCullough was the first in Michigan, and we pray he will be the last. Chief McCullough was killed in an automobile accident after assisting a child who had been hit by a car. He was following the ambulance that contained that child to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, his squad car was hit by another vehicle, and he was killed. As I said, he is a great American hero because he also served our country in the United States Army. And to be the police officer of a tribal police department, he also graduated from the U.S. Indian Police Academy. He was survived by his wife, his son, and 3 daughters. So my friends, please remember in your thoughts and in your prayers, Chief of Police Jake James McCullough of the Hannahville Tribal Police Department. Please remember the other men and women that work in that department. and his wife and his family. And we say, rest in peace, brother. Your memory will never be forgotten. It is my great pleasure, and it's been a lot of fun today having on our show my dear friend, Sergeant Michael Cupp, the Administrative Sergeant for the West Bloomfield Police Department, and his lovely wife, and also someone I consider a dear friend, Dr. Jeanne Stuckey-Cupp, Research Associate Professor from the University of Michigan. It's been a lot of fun. Mike, we're going to miss you when you're gone. You got to come back. We got to have coffee or lunch or whatever, but hopefully you and Jeannie and me and Maureen will get together, absolutely. And as always, I thank my my co-host, Arlo. You ready to sing? You ready to sing? No, thanks. We appreciate it. David McNealy, my good friend
Keep
and
my day job.
co-host. Folks, please keep in touch with us here at West Bloomfield 911. We give you 3 ways to watch us. You can turn on Civic Center TV, or you can go to www.civiccentertv.com, and you can even catch us on YouTube. Just write in West Bloomfield 911, and you get to watch all of our interesting shows. Please keep in touch with the police department as well. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and if you really want to know what's going on in your community, sign up for Nixle and soon coming to you, Snapchat. So keep in touch, and remember, my friends, take care of each other, love one another. Tomorrow is promised to no one. I'm Officer Rick, and we'll see you again on West Bloomfield 911.